What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Awesemo DFS channel, and we are talking Week 2 USFL DFS, getting into some of the top plays at each position. But before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We are also brought to you today by Prize Picks. And if you've never heard of Prize Picks, this is a platform that offers daily prop-based contests. You can make lineups with up to 5 players to make upwards of 10 extra entry fee. And better yet, if you use the promo code Awesemo, you are going to get a match deposit bonus up to $100. So make sure to check out Prize Picks today. Diving into the quarterback position, we had a lot of success last week identifying stacks. So we're going to talk about quarterbacks and pass catchers in conjunction with each other before we circle back to running backs. And I want to start this out with a popular player, somebody that we used a lot last week with limited success, but I think we can go right back. It's Tampa Bay Bandits quarterback Jordan Tiamou. And he interestingly actually got a little more expensive this week, but there's a lot to like about Tiamou, even though the week 1 box score was not what we anticipated. Overall, he's not a player who has a quarterback controversy on his hands. He is mobile, and we know that because of previous stints in the XFL, in the NFL preseason. But Tiamou only had 1 rushing attempt in their first game. I'm chalking that up to overall game script. They did not have to really use him whatsoever. They absolutely dismantled their opponent. So I think it's positive that Tiamou still threw 32 times. They were top half of the league in play rate, and they passed the ball over 50% of the time, which we can't say about a lot of teams in this league. So with Tiamou, there is upside not only from a passing perspective, but still there's untapped potential on the ground. So I still think he is worth the price tag and somebody we can get to in tournaments. Now, looking at his pass catchers, again, game wasn't really close. They rotated pass catchers quite a bit. And I think for that reason, people might just run Tiamou naked. I think one player we can certainly look at is tight end Cheyenne O'Grady, who had 11 targets, 8 receptions for 86 yards. O'Grady was essentially an every snap player for this team, and he's only 5,200, less expensive than players like Derek Willie. So I do expect to be their number 1 receiver, even though box score was lacking for Willies. He actually didn't even catch his only target, but he was still out there 63% of snaps. That led receivers, and behind him, Vinnie Papale is somebody maybe you can look at as a dart throw near the stone minimum, 3,200. Still participated 57% of the routes. For reference, that's just 3% behind Willie's, had more targets as well. Going to a contrarian stack, I think we can get to Jamar Smith. Now, this is an interesting situation to target. He's going to be facing Jordan Tiamou, but Jamar Smith was not expected to be the starter in this offense. And because of an injury to Alex Magoo, Jamar Smith comes out there for the Breakers and performs really well. He actually won Offensive Player of the Week. He's not priced as if he was the Offensive Player of the Week. This guy's $8K flat. And Jamar Smith is somebody who has a little bit of dual threat ability. He had 3 rush attempts in their most recent game. But what it comes down to, this was a productive college quarterback who's now just not priced among the expensive signal callers in this league. We saw him produce extremely well with players like Victor Bolden, and when we look at down the stretch here, Osiris Mitchell and Marlon Williams. I'm expecting that to be the same 3 receivers we see this week. This is a team that did not rotate very many of their receivers overall. When you look at just the overall snaps and route percentages, Bolden, Williams, and Osiris Mitchell all participated in 100% of the routes. Bolden, 9 targets. Williams, 5 targets. Osiris Mitchell, 7. Now, Williams didn't have the good box score. He actually didn't reel any of these in, but he's still the stone minimum. So there are plenty of ways you can stack this Breakers offense. Again, expected to be pass heavy and a little more up-tempo this year. And last one, maybe you can look at Brian Scott for the Philadelphia Stars, 9,600 for Scott at quarterback. They placed a ton of players on their injury list this morning. So I think the top stacking options now are Jordan Sewell and DeAndre Overton. Again, they lost a bunch of players. You no longer have Devin Gray or Chris Rowland on the active roster. So it's a little bit of guesswork. Brian Scott did not play well. His yards per attempt was outside the top 6 in week 1, but they just throw the ball so much and they run so many plays that Scott and some of these receivers might backdoor their way into some production. at the very least, I think you could play Sewell and Overton as one-offs. Getting to the running back position before we head out of here, we'll talk 3 players, and I'm going to bring you back to the Tampa Bay Bandits, where B.J. Emmons stands out. He had 18 carries and 3 targets, and I think there's room for more. Again, their first game was not very competitive. With the game getting out of hand, B.J. Emmons 58% of snaps, Juwan Washington 42%, route percentage, B.J. Emmons 51%, Washington 34%. Because of the blowout, perhaps we see Emmons work into more of a full-time role. He's my favorite expensive back at the top. And from there, there's a couple other players you could look at if you're looking at cheaper options. Trey Williams at 5,300 makes a lot of sense. He worked as the clear number 1 back over Darius Victor. Even though Victor had 15 carries to Williams 13, Trey Williams 63% of the snaps to Victor's 37. Again, Williams 5,300, bigger back, good size, adjusted speed. He's somebody we can certainly look at in the mid-price. And then last player I'll mention, CJ Marable was expected to be in a timeshare with Tony Brooks-James. But again, this was a spot where Tony Brooks-James 8 carries to Marable 7, but overall Marable 65% of snaps to Tony Brooks-James 35. Routes 61% Marable, 28% for Tony Brooks-James. Marable's a solid play at 5,900. Let me know in the comment section what you guys are looking at this week in USFL DFS. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. My name is Matt Gajewski on Twitter at Matt_Gajewski. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.